Communication. Communication is very important in the hospitality industry, more so. This presentation is about verbal as well as non-verbal communication, more about non-verbal communication. I'm sure it will leave a deep impact once you go through it. Verbal communication, there are several communication styles. I have tried to identify 7. Every individual has their own distinct style of communication. There are 7 different major conversational styles: dominant, interruptive, manipulative, polite, creative, sarcastic, and passive. Of course, for the hospitality, polite is the best. Conceptual background of elements. When we talk about the elements of communication, there are 6 elements. So there's the sender and there's the receiver. The first 2 elements are sender oriented. The next 2 elements are transmission oriented, and the last 2 elements are receiver oriented. So the sender oriented elements are decision to send message about something, and second, encoding of the message by the sender. Then the third element is sending the message to the receiver. Fourth one is channel through which the message is sent, and on the receiver's end, decoding of the message by the receiver. And sixth and last element, internal response to the message. So these are the 6 elements: decision to send the message, encoding the message, sending the message, channel through which the message is sent, decoding the message by the receiver, and internal response to the message. First is decision. We are talking about elements of communication. The first element is decision. Deciding to speak and choosing what thoughts the individual would like to put forth in conversation. Encoding, the second element of communication, the process by which the speaker attempts to translate his or her thoughts and perceptions into words. That is encoding. The third element, sending, the articulation of the words, the forming of the words, the pronouncing, the spelling of the verbs, the action, the emotifying of the words that the individual would like to convey. That is third element, sending. The fourth element, channel. The message sent travels to the receiver via a channel. That is sound waves, sign language, video recording, or some other channel. The fifth element is decoding. Decoding is a process in which the listener attempts to understand and interpret what the speaker has encoded in his or her message. And the last element is internal response. The receiver contemplates the message, thinks about the message, and has an internal response. His response could be happiness, angry, upset, relieved, or uninterested. Like I said, this presentation is primarily about non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication involves all aspects of communication other than words themselves. It includes how we utter words, features of environments that affect interactions and that influence personal images and interaction patterns. So how a picture, how uh, happening, how whatever is in the environment, how it changes, how it affects us. Non-verbal communication. There are 5 types of non-verbal communication. There are many types of non-verbal communications, but I have identified 5 types of non-verbal communications: kinesics, proxemics, vocalics, haptics, and chronomics. Kinesics, proxemics, vocalics or paralanguage, haptics, and chronomics. These might sound a little technical, but when I explain them in the future slides, you will understand them better. And you will agree that yes, all these 5 different types of non-verbal communications are indeed important. The first one is kinesics. Kinesics it derives from the word kinetics, which means movement of the body, body language. Body language shows people's feelings without communicating them verbally. So the first picture of the boy sitting with his hand on the neck, bored. The second picture of the girl, hands, she's impatient, and so on and so forth. So when we move our body in a certain way, we are communicating. Without saying anything, we are communicating to the world what is happening inside of us, what we are thinking, our attitude. This is again related to kinesics, the posture of our body. The first posture that you see is back swayed. Second one is uh, then the third one, the fourth one in which the head is forward, and finally the last one in which the body is erect and which is the correct posture. The body should be erect, the spine should be erect, and the head should be in line with the whole body. So when we talk about posture, slumped posture is a sign of feeling low. Slumped posture, the third one, is a sign of feeling low. You're not happy, you're sad, slumped. Fatigued and inferior. So when you're slumped, you're either sad or you're fatigued, tired, or you're feeling inferior. Whereas the upright posture, the last one, the upright posture reflects confidence, openness, and energy. Also, the way people walk communicates how they feel. When people are sad, they shuffle along slowly with their hands in their pockets, whereas if you're happy, you walk energized. This is again about kinesics, gestures. So when I put my finger up like this, I am ordering something. When I put my finger like this, I am pointing at something. When I put my hand like this, I am begging for something. When I'm putting my thumb up like this, I am appreciating something, and so on and so forth. There's so many gestures, hand gestures that we use. Gestures. Many people communicate with gestures and various body movements. This allows for a person to show different feelings such as anger, sadness, sincerity, etc. So when I spread my hands out like this, I am begging. When I put my hand up like this, I'm saying, enough of your nonsense. Stop. Hold it. Talking about the second is face. Facial expressions. In the picture, you can see different kinds of facial expressions. So we don't have to say anything. Our face, the way it looks, it says everything. Whether we've understood, whether we are confident, whether we are sad, whether we are feeling rich, or we are feeling gloomy, or we are whatever state of mind that we are in, our face can express when we want it to. Facial expressions. Our face is our most expressive body part. Eye contact shows interest and shows that you are listening. Very simple. In a class with students, the people who you are maintaining eye contact with direct, they are the people who are listening to you, who are taking interest in the class. And those of the students who are not looking at you or are looking somewhere else, they are perhaps not interested, or they are not understanding what's happening. Loping looks into another person's eyes conveys either romantic notions or conflict and anger. Staring. It can either be romantic or conflict and anger. They say eyes are a window to the soul. So even more than the face, the eyes say it all. Okay. After kinesics, we have proxemics. Proxemics, kinesis comes from the word kinetics, movement, body movement, and proxemics comes from the word proximity, which means closeness, nearness, or what is around us, proximity. Proxemics is the study of how we communicate by the way we use space, the distance between you and others, how you arrange furniture and other objects for social interaction, and how you respond to the invasion of territory. It is the organization of space in our homes, building, office, and even the layout of our town. Proxemics, let me try to explain distance. How does distance help in communication? So I have identified 4 distances. The first distance is intimate distance between close friends or between lovers. Intimate distance, close intimate distance is 1 inch. So when you are 1 inches away from the other person, then your relationship with that person is either your very close friends or your lovers. And far intimate distance is 6 to 18 inches. So between half a foot to 1.5 feet. When the distance between you and the other person is about this much, then you are either very close friends or you're lovers. Second one is personal distance. Personal distance is the kind of distance that we have when we are having a group discussion between friends, not very close friends, but between friends. So that is personal distance. Or associates. So your colleagues at work, your seniors, your office people. Now with those kind of people, you maintain personal distance. Personal distance, close and far. Close distance is 1.5 to 2.5 feet, and far is 2.5 to 4 feet. The third distance is social distance. Social distance is the distance that you maintain when you are talking to strangers and new acquaintances, people who you have met for the first time. The kind of distance that you maintain with them. Close distance is 4 to 7 feet, and far distance is 7 to 12 feet. And finally, the fourth kind of distance is the public distance. Public distance is when you maintain when you are talking to a large group of people, for example, when you're giving a lecture or a speech, or when you are in a theater and you're addressing a large number of people. So in this, the close distance is 12 to 25 feet. So you are distant from the people by 12 to 25 feet, and the far distance is 25 feet or more. There is also the vertical distance. So normally when you are standing up on a platform and talking and looking down at people, or when you are at the same level, so when in a class and you are talking to students and you are speaking from the same level, you relate to the students more. When you're on a height, when you are at a vertical distance, then it is a position of authority. So all this is proxemics. Also, I must tell you about personal space. Personal space is the region surrounding a person which they regard as psychologically theirs. Most people value their personal space and feel discomfort, anger, or anxiety when their personal space is encroached. Moving on, we'll talk about paralanguage. Paralanguage refers to all vocal components of speech, reflects what a person is feeling. Vocal components of a speech. Pitch. Why are you not coming here? Or let's just take a simple thing. Come to my office. How will you say it on a high pitch? Come to my office. Resonance, the richness or thinness of your voice. Articulation, the way you enunciate. Come to my office. Tempo, the speed at which the words are spoken. Come to my office. Come to my office. Volume, the loudness or softness with which you speak. You see, we are loud when we are angry, and we are soft when we are kind. Rhythm, the emphasis placed on different words and the cadence of the speech. Then we move on to haptics. What is haptics? Haptics is the way in which we communicate and interact by the use of touch. You see, touch is very important. Touching is very important. It is said that for infants and for children, touching is perhaps the only way of communication, because they can't speak. Children cannot speak, the infants cannot speak, infants cannot hear perhaps properly, or even whatever they hear they are not able to comprehend, understand. But touch is a universal language, and touching, there were experiments conducted with monkeys and animals, in which the infants were not allowed any physical touch with their parents and with other animals, and those infants who grew up without touch were emotionally unstable and not as developed as their counterparts. Touch may be positive, loving, playful, control, ritualistic, task related, unintentional, or negative. Touch may be positive. So when you pat somebody on the back, loving, when you caress the way your mother caresses you, playful, control, ritualistic. Ritualistic is when we touch our parents' feet. Task related, when we touch another person because it is part of our job. Unintentional or negative. Negative touching is pulling, pushing, punching, or kicking. So we communicate by touch. And another and the last non-verbal method of communication is Tronomics. Tronomics is the role of time in non-verbal communication. It's a very deep thing, but time plays a very important role. Arriving, starting, and ending late, early, or on time. So whenever you have a presentation to make or a speech to make, or whenever you're supposed to speak and you come on time, you were supposed to do it at 5 o'clock and you come on time, or you start before time, or you end late, you were supposed to end at 5:30 and you end at 5:45. So all this conveys to the listener things, Pause while speaking. Whenever we communicate and we give a pause, we are looking for emotions from the people. We are looking for people to understand what we are trying to say or to express themselves verbally or non-verbally. When we speak too fast, when do we speak fast? As a teacher, as a lecturer, as a professor, I must tell you that we speak fast when we feel that our students are getting bored. So we speak fast so that we can convey more to them, so that we can regenerate their interest in our lecture. And we speak slow, vice versa. We speak slow when the students are interested and they are learning and they are invested in us, and then we speak slow. Chronomics, length of the gaze. So when you look at somebody for a very long time, or when somebody is looking at you for a long time, it communicates, it says things. Or when you are avoiding somebody and you don't look at them for long, it says, without speaking, it says that the speaker is not interested in you, or the other person is not interested in you, and he's avoiding you, and he would rather keep distance. Or duration of the handshake. So when you shake hands, how long do you shake hands? How long do you keep holding the hands? Says a lot. Says a lot. You see, it is about feelings. Or hug. When you hug somebody, so there's one hug and there's another hug in which you linger, you don't want to leave. And there's third hug in which you hold the other person tightly, which says something else. So that was about the various types of non-verbal communication. I must tell you about the importance of non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is essential to fully understand a message when two or more people are communicating. Non-verbal communication is essential. You can see body language 55%, para-language 38%. So a total of 93% is non-verbal communication and only 7% is verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is essential to fully understand a message when two or more people are communicating. And that is why I said in the beginning that the essence of this presentation is non-verbal communication. It is 93% of how we say and how our body says it that matters, and it is only just 7% of the words that come out of our mouths. The key elements involved in effective communication. 3 key elements: listening, attending, and responding. These are the 3 key elements involved in effective communication: listening, attending, and responding. We come towards the end of the presentation. These were the old means of communication: the radio, the Morse code, the old style telephone, loudspeaker, post, and the typewriter, clickety clack typewriter. Clickety, you had to really punch to get the word printed. Now we are into touch screen, so you just have to gently touch. And there are phones and there are devices which you don't even have to touch. You just hover on top and the thing happens, you see, without touch also. Anyway, so the old means of communication have totally been replaced by the modern means of communication, such as the telephone. The old kind of telephone has been replaced by mobile phones. The typewriter has been replaced by the printer, and the pencil and notepad has been replaced by the ThinkPads, and the notebooks, the electronic mobile laptops. This is contemporary communication, modern communication, and the advancement in the communication systems. This is a very famous saying by Paulo Freire: only through communication can human life hold meaning. We are social beings, we are people of the society, and only through communication can human life hold meaning. Even though I must add that we don't know what the meaning of life is, but not getting too philosophical, I must say that communication is very important to all human beings. Thank you for your precious time. Protect yourself from the pandemic. Wear the mask always when in public. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap. Sanitize them as frequently as you can. And last but not the least, stay away from people. Maintain social distance. You see, prevention is way better than cure. Cure is not only painful, it is also very expensive. So prevent corona from happening to you. Stay home, stay safe. May God bless you. Bye-bye.